All right, so welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. You know how we do things here. We take your sources, we try to find the good stuff, the interesting stuff. But today, well, things are going to get a little dark.
A little dark.
Yeah, a little dark, a little creepy, a little spooky even.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going.
For Deep Dive 11, The Doctor's Darkest Moments, when Doctor Who became a horror story. You ready to untrack some of that?
Let's do it. Doctor Who and horror. What a great combo. You know, what's always fascinated me is how how Doctor Who manages to blend that sci-fi adventure with some seriously creepy stuff.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
And a lot of that, I think, comes back to, well, the Time War.
Oh, the Time War, yeah.
It's not just some event in the background. It's this huge, just massive trauma. And it shapes so much of what we see, especially in the newer series, the modern series.
Right. For anyone who needs a Time War refresher, I mean, basically, it's this huge war between the Time Lords and the Daleks.
Right.
But it's more than just spaceships and battles, right?
Oh, absolutely. When you really dig into the source material, the Time War is about impossible choices and the moral compromises that the Doctor has to make and the psychological scars that it leaves on everyone.
Especially the Doctor, right?
Especially the Doctor. It forces them to confront this darkness, this capacity for violence, and that really clashes with, everything the Doctor stands for.
Yeah. And you really see that conflict in the Ninth Doctor. He's so haunted by it, trying to be good, but still there's that darkness inside.
Right. And it makes you think, can any Doctor really ever escape that? Even 10, 11, all their, charm and wit, you still see how the Time War shapes them, their choices, their relationships, everything.
It's like this tension, this knowledge that, they've seen things, done things that they can then outrun.
And that has a huge impact on how they see themselves, their place in the universe.
Right, their place in the universe.
The Time War, it's not just some plot device, it's how we understand the Doctor, their complexities.
So we have this universe-altering conflict, but it seems like the Time War, it also had a personal impact on regeneration, on the Doctor's regeneration.
Uh-huh.
I was reading some fan theories that say regeneration might have been weaponized during the war.
That's interesting. It would explain why regeneration in the modern series is so much more explosive, so much more traumatic.
Yeah, it goes from quiet, peaceful to this big release of energy.
And connecting that to the Time War, it makes you think that even this process, renewal, change, it was corrupted, twisted by the conflict. It adds a whole other meaning to those scenes.
Definitely. And it makes you think about, 9 regenerating into 10. He was carrying so much from the Time War. Could that fiery regeneration have been like a release of all that trauma?
It's a great question. And it makes you think about Rose Tyler, her presence, her love, her compassion. Did that influence that regeneration? Did she help? There's a lot there.
Yeah. So regeneration becomes this symbol, not just of change, but of the impact of the Time War.
It's woven into who the Doctor is.
It's a reminder of the sacrifices, the losses, the struggle to find hope in a universe changed by the Time War.
That's it.
Okay, so we have this big overarching theme, but there are specific episodes that really lean into that horror.
Oh, for sure.
Midnight, for example.
Midnight, yeah.
It's a masterclass in terror. Without using any of the usual horror stuff, you're trapped with something you don't understand.
And even the Doctor seems powerless.
Powerless, yeah.
What's brilliant about Midnight is that the horror comes from the atmosphere, this sense of isolation. And the nature of, the Midnight entity, we don't know what it is, what it wants. That's what makes it so scary.
It's the fear of the unknown, that feeling of being completely out of your depth, even with the Doctor right there with you.
It makes you wonder, what could frighten a being who's seen so much? What could frighten the Doctor? It speaks to the vastness, the mystery that's still out there.
And there are all those theories about the Midnight entity, some even connected to the TARDIS.
Oh, wow.
They compare it to the episode The Doctor's Wife, where the TARDIS becomes human.
Right. That is a fascinating connection. The TARDIS, this ancient sentient being, suddenly becoming something sinister, something that preys on the Doctor's weaknesses. It's a scary thought.
Yeah. It blurs the line between best friend and worst nightmare. And speaking of blurring lines, Blink, with the Weeping Angels, another one that really gets under your skin. It's that primal fear of statues coming to life.
Oh, the Weeping Angels. They're brilliant because they use that fears of the unseen, that feeling that something's watching you, waiting. You can't escape them, only delay them.
And the way they send you to the past, stealing your present, your future, it's terrifying.
And they're stone when you look at them. It's like this awful game of statues with incredibly high stakes.
And then there are those fan theories that connect the Weeping Angels to the Time Lords. Like there's some corrupted form of Gallifrey's guardians.
That is intriguing.
Makes you think, what if the Time War didn't just scar the Doctor? What if it created these horrors, echoes of a civilization, twisted into something monstrous?
So many questions about the Time War, the effects that are still shaping the universe.
Okay, before we get too lost in the theories, let's talk about the Watcher.
Ah, yes, the Watcher, a very mysterious figure appearing during 4's regeneration, Logopolis.
Right, Logopolis.
It's this, well, ominous presence, silent, dressed in white, merges with the Doctor to help the regeneration along.
So many questions. Was it a future Doctor, a separate being? How does it connect to 14 and the whole bi-generation thing?
Imagine if Tennant as 14 becomes the Watcher for Gabwas 15, it would bring the whole thing full circle.
Whoa.
Right.
That would be amazing, connecting those two eras like that.
And the emotional impact, Tennant returning, guiding Gatwa's Doctor through those final moments.
Okay. Adding that to my headcanon list, the Watcher, this recurring figure, tied to regeneration, maybe even offering some guidance to each Doctor.
Adds a whole new meaning to regeneration, right? It's not just change, it's legacy.
And speaking of legacy, some of Doctor Who's most iconic villains, they're terrifying. Even without the Time War, the Daleks, for example, pure extermination, and that voice, exterminate. Chilling.
There's something so unsettling about their design, too. They're not even, vaguely organic, just metal shells with one purpose: to destroy.
It's more than violence, though. It's an ideology. They believe in their superiority, their destiny to rule. That's the scary part.
Yeah, the combination of everything, the look, the voice, the single-mindedness, that's what makes them scary.
And what they did in the Time War, they were driven by this belief in their destiny, in their right to dominate.
Which makes it even scarier, because they believe they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Okay, we've talked about Time War, regeneration, scary episodes, and even the terror of villains like the Daleks. But there's another scary part of Doctor Who, the ethical side of time travel.
Oh, yeah. Time travel's tricky. All those moral questions.
The Doctor's always wrestling with intervention, free will, changing the past or the future.
And then there are the fixed points, the things that can't be changed. It adds another level of, tension.
The Doctor has to balance saving lives with protecting the timeline.
Exactly. A constant balancing act.
And sometimes they fall. The waters of Mars.
The waters of Mars, yeah.
That's a heavy episode. The Doctor knows what's supposed to happen.
Right.
But they try to change it, and it goes so wrong.
It's a hard lesson about the limits of the Doctor's power.
And the danger of interfering.
It's a reminder, even with good intentions, even with a time machine, you can't control everything. Sometimes it's best to let things happen.
Even if it hurts. We've covered a lot today. The Time War, regeneration, scary episodes, the Daleks, even the ethics of time travel.
A lot.
But one question to leave you with. Do you think the TARDIS, with her wisdom, and her connection to the Doctor, could she be influencing the Doctor's decisions, his moral decisions?
Ooh, that is a good question. We know the TARDIS. She's more than a vehicle. She's practically another character.
Right. He's ancient, sentient, and she has a connection with the Doctor, a deep connection.
She could be more than a passive observer.
Yeah. There have been times where the TARDIS seems to have a mind of her own.
Oh, yeah. Malfunctions, refusing to go places, taking human form in the Doctor's wife.
Exactly. And she expresses her opinions. So if she can disagree, could she be guiding him?
Like a cosmic conscience.
Right. Built into his Ein machine.
Wow, to that. The TARDIS seeing everything rising and falling of civilizations and influencing the Doctor, steering him away from making huge mistakes.
It would add a whole new level to their relationship, not just the Doctor making choices, but working with the TARDIS, a Time Lord and this ancient time machine.
And those times where the Doctor ignores her warnings, they would mean so much more. Are they listening to their oldest friend?
Okay, that's it. That's going on the list. The TARDIS as the cosmic conscience, guiding the Doctor through time and morality. What an idea.
It really speaks to the idea that even the Doctor, even with all their knowledge, they need guidance.
And who better than the TARDIS, the one constant in their life, through every regeneration, every adventure?
She's seen it all. And maybe she's learned something about the consequences of power and the importance of making the right choices. What other secrets is she hiding?
Speaking of secrets, regeneration, we don't fully understand it. We talked about it being weaponized. But what about the companions? Could they be influencing it too?
Oh, that's a good one. We've seen how companions change the Doctor, bring out different sides.
Yeah. Could they be shaping the regeneration too?
Maybe.
Rosa 9, her loving compassion, did that shape 10?
That's possible.
Donna always challenging 10 to be better. Did that play a role in 11?
It's a fascinating idea, the people the Doctor travels with, leaving their mark on the Doctor's very being.
Imagine every regeneration, not just the Doctor's past, but the companions too. Like each Doctor carries a piece of them.
It would add a sense of continuity. Even though the Doctor changes, there's this connection to the past, to those they traveled with.
Yeah, it would make the companions even more important. Not just along for the ride, they're shaping the Doctor's future.
Their very identity.
Yeah, it would make the goodbyes even more heartbreaking.
But also more hopeful. Because even though the Doctor changes, the bonds, the memories, those stay.
Okay, so we have these theories about companions influencing regenerations. But what about those times when they're not there? When the Doctor regenerates alone, like the War Doctor into 9?
Alone, yeah, carrying all the weight of the Time War.
What's influencing that? Is it just biological? Or is there something else?
Interesting.
Could it be that the Doctor's own, inner turmoil shapes it? The War Doctor, full of guilt and regret, regenerates into 9, who's desperate for redemption.
Wow, that is a powerful idea. Regeneration, even without companions, it's still this deeply emotional event for the Doctor. And the trauma, it can shape who they become.
Like every regeneration is a response to the past, a way of processing things and moving forward. And even when alone, even when facing those demons alone, it's a chance to start again.
It's a good reminder, even when things are bad, even when the Doctor's broken, there's always the potential to change, to grow, to hope.
That's what makes regeneration so powerful.
Right.
Okay. We've talked a lot about the dark side. But even in the scary parts, there's humor, there's lightheartedness.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about the balance.
Yeah. Doctor Who wouldn't be Doctor Who without it. It's what keeps us coming back.
It really is.
And the Doctor, they're so relatable. They face these huge horrors, but never lose that sense of wonder, that compassion.
The Doctor reminds us that even when things are bad, there's always something worth fighting for.
And they do it with a smile and a sonic screwdriver and that blue box.
Speaking of adventures, we've just scratched the surface, but we should probably take a break.
That's a good idea. We've covered a lot. And all those timey-wimey concepts, you need time to process.
Definitely. But don't worry, we'll be back for more of the Doctor's darkest moments. Secrets, chilling episodes, terrifying villains.
Until then, keep watching the skies and make sure to catch part 2.
Back again. Ready for some more creepy Doctor Who stuff.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. What else did you find?
Okay, so we talked about Daleks, Weeping Angels, but there's so many more creatures, that really get to you. Like the Zygons.
Zygons, oh yeah.
Shapeshifters. Perfect mimics. Can look like anyone. It's like an identity theft nightmare, but scarier.
The Zygons, yeah. They make you question, like, what's real,
Right. You never know who they seem to be. Classic horror stuff, but the Zygons, they take it to a whole other level.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just like a visual thing. They become the person, like their memories, emotions, everything's. It's kind of fascinating, but also really creepy.
Totally.
Makes you think about trust. Like believing the people around you are who they say they are. The Zygons, they just mess with all that.
And it makes those episodes so suspenseful. It's trying to figure out, is this person real or a Zygon? Plays on that fear of being tripped, of not knowing who to trust.
Oh, and speaking of paranoia, the Vashta Nerada.
Ooh, yeah.
Microscopic swarms of carnivorous shadows. That's nightmare fuel right there.
The Vashta Nerada are scary because they're everywhere. Shadows, something so simple, so normal, becomes deadly.
Yeah, and you can't see them, can't hear them. You never know if they're there. Waiting.
It's that primal fear of the unseen, of something lurking in the dark.
And they can strip a person to the bone in seconds.
It's pretty gruesome. And what makes them even creepier, they're not mindless. They have this hive mind.
So it's not just running and dieting. They can think, they can plan, they can outsmart you.
Exactly. They're not to be messed with. And it's not just, the creatures themselves. Sometimes it's the setting. Those isolated, abandoned places. Those can be pretty scary too.
Oh yeah, totally. The abandoned spaceships, empty planets. Doctor Who has it all.
Right. The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit.
Ooh, yeah, those are good ones.
That base on a planet orbiting a black hole and this ancient evil thing trapped inside.
It's claustrophobic. And terrifying.
It's a great example of how Doctor Who mixes sci-fi and horror, all this advanced technology, but then, boom, you've got this ancient evil.
Yeah, no matter how advanced we get, there are still things out there that we can't explain, that we can't control. And that's scary.
The Impossible Planet, the Satan Pit, they really play on that fear of the vastness of space, the unknown, the possibility of things older and more powerful than we can imagine.
Okay, one more creepy creature before we move on. The Silence. Tall, slender. And they erase your memory when you look away. Talk about terrifying.
The silence, yeah. They're scary because they use our memory against us. Our own perception. You start doubting yourself, your own
You
experiences.
don't know if you've seen them, if they've influenced you. It's like mind control, but worse.
It's a really unsettling concept. And they're connected to some big stuff, too. The Doctor's regeneration, some major events.
Yeah, it's like they're this hidden force shaping things from the shadows.
And their design, those blank faces, those eyes, simple but effective. Really creepy.
I think we've done a good job of scaring ourselves with all these creepy things. And probably of our listeners, too.
Probably, but even in those scary episodes, there's always that hope, that feeling that the Doctor will figure it out, that good will win.
That's what makes Doctor Who so good. That mix of dark and light, fear and wonder.
Exactly. It keeps us coming back.
And speaking of coming back, I think we should revisit that idea about the TARDIS.
Oh yeah, the cosmic conscience.
Yeah, that whole concept, I really like it.
It makes you think about the Doctor and the TARDIS in a whole new way.
Right. We've seen the TARDIS be kind of, willful, having her own ideas, even challenging the Doctor. But what if she's doing more than that, guiding him, to do the right thing?
Like a built-in conscience, but for the universe.
Yeah. It would explain why the Doctor gets into so much trouble when he doesn't listen to her. Yeah.
It's like a kid rebelling against their parents, doing what they want even though they know it's probably wrong.
And what if the TARDIS isn't always subtle? What if she steps in, does something big to stop the Doctor from messing things up, really messing things up?
Whoa, okay, imagine that. The TARDIS refusing to go, malfunctioning, even taking the Doctor somewhere else completely to stop them from making a bad decision.
That would be interesting to see. You'd never know. Is it the Doctor in control or the TARDIS?
Is the Doctor really making the choices, or is the TARDIS manipulating things behind the scenes?
Yeah, exactly. It makes you think about their relationship. Is the Doctor a free agent, or are they being controlled by the TARDIS?
Right. Even with all the Doctor's knowledge, they can still make mistakes. They need help sometimes.
And it really changes how you see the TARDIS. It's not just a time machine. It's a partner, a friend, maybe even a moral compass.
It makes you think, what else is she hiding? How else is she influencing the Doctor?
I guess we'll just have to keep watching to find out. But I think we need another break. Okay, so last part of our deep dive into the Doctor's darkest moments.
Back for more.
Always. But I did want to go back to something. The TARDIS. And how she might be influencing the Doctor, like a cosmic conscience.
Yeah, we were talking about that. And it's a really cool idea that this ancient being who's seen, so much nudging the Doctor to make better choices. It makes you wonder, though, how often does the Doctor ignore that?
Oh, yeah.
Go against what the TARDIS wants, even when he probably knows she's right?
Yeah, exactly. And what happens then? Does she get, frustrated? Does she have to, really step in sometimes to keep him from doing something, really bad?
Right. Imagine the TARDIS. She just refuses to go. Or she has a major malfunction. Or maybe she just takes the Doctor somewhere else entirely to stop him from making a huge mistake.
Whoa. Like a time travel timeout?
Exactly. And then you wouldn't know, is the Doctor really in control? Or is the TARDIS running the show?
Yeah. It would add a whole other level to everything. Is it the Doctor or is the TARDIS pulling the string?
Right. And it really makes you think about free will, destiny. Can you really choose, or is something else guiding you?
Big questions.
Big questions, yeah. It really makes the Doctor more human. Even with all those amazing abilities, they can still mess up. They need help sometimes, like all of us.
That's a good point. And it really changes how you see the TARDIS, too. She's not just a ship, a machine. She's more like a partner. Someone looking out for the Doctor. Maybe even, a moral compass.
Makes you wonder what else is going on in that blue box. What other ways is she affecting the Doctor?
So many mysteries. Okay, but before we get lost in those, we've talked about the TARDIS, the Doctor, the creatures. But there's one more thing. At its core, Doctor Who is about hope. Even in the dark times, even when things are, really bad, there's that feeling that things will get better, that good will win.
Yeah, the Doctor, they might mess up, they might make mistakes, but they never give up, never stop fighting for what they believe in.
And that's what this is so inspiring. It reminds you that even when things are tough, you keep going. You don't give up hope.
Exactly. And that's why Doctor Who has been around for so long. It gives you that escape, but also that inspiration. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there's always a light.
Perfectly said.
I think that's a good place to wrap things up.
Yeah, I think so too. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Doctor's darkest moments. There's always so much more to explore, but for now, that's it.
Until next time, keep watching the skies. And remember, the universe is full of wonder and adventure. And yeah, maybe even a little horror.
And don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into something, well, something fascinating. See you then.